Welcome to Independent Minds, Expert Ideas, a virtual talk with true experts from all over the globe about how to thrive in a changing world. Today I'm talking with Sigfried Ziggy Lange, who is based in Namibia. Hi, Ziggy.
Hi, Christian. It's good to be with you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. And you're also one of the co-authors of our new book, which is here. It's also called Independent Minds, Expert Ideas. You have a full chapter there. And I would like to talk with you about your professional way, your professional background, and the core message of your article.
Yeah.
I read that you have a master in clinical psychology, and you're also a well-known radio host in Namibia. You're co-founder of an organization who's called Capacity Trust, and you have also written several books. So I think what is interesting about this is that it's so different what you do, not only based on your university time, what you studied, but you enhanced your business in several directions. How did you become an expert in all these fields? What is your background?
So I started out in retail, Christian. When after my compulsory military service in South Africa, I started out in retail. I worked in different supermarkets, most of the time in management. I worked in the building industry. And in that time, I gained a lot of insight into how business and people connect. And I found that I've got an interest in how people react and why people react that way. So when I was 30, I started to study psychology part-time. And as you said, I finished my master's in clinical psychology with a thesis on emotional intelligence, mainly because I think that impacts not only individuals, but groups of individuals and organizations. And that's why my angle is a little bit different than many other people, because I have a background in the fast-moving goods market and then the psychology with that.
Yeah. So you first had experiences in your job, and that raised a question, and afterwards you studied because you thought that this could help you understand better how things are working.
Yeah. So I think if you are in the supermarket, you see all sides of people. You see people that in a way that you don't normally see them.
Yeah. I think that you see a lot of different personalities there also, and you have to deal with them, and you get a lot of knowledge about how the brain works and how people work.
Yes. And you also see how people react to pressure, and people react to change. How different people deal with different situations in unique ways. When I was in retail, I physically saw how people would attack each other about the product that they felt very passionate about. And I saw people showing the kindness to buy things for others that are in need. So you really see all sides of humanity in retail.
Yeah. So you're based in Namibia,
Yes.
but you also speak very good German. So what is your story there?
Yeah. So I'm the 5th generation African.
Yeah.
My great-great-grandfather came to South Africa on my father's side as a farmer. And on my mother's side, her parents came as missionaries to Africa. So I am really truly African, but I'm also really truly speaking German because both my parents were German. So German is my mother tongue. But in Africa, you've got the advantage that you speak many languages. As I introduced in Afrikaans, that is more well known in Southern Africa, and then English, obviously, and then the German. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting because what I realize speaking different languages, that is not affecting only how you speak, but also how you think about certain things.
Yes.
Did you make this experience too?
Yes, most definitely. I think that the language you speak also influences the way you approach things. Different languages have got different nuances, and yeah, I definitely feel that the language you're talking in does have a subliminal impact in how you approach life and the world.
Yeah. And you can do that by choice. So is it that you say, okay, I need to change my perspective. Let's re-sing it in another language that I speak, or how can you use it in your daily work?
I think that happens naturally.
Yes.
For example, a very good example is Afrikaans is a fairly young language. And in the language, it still develops a lot, and it's got different ideas within the language that are evolving. And I think that also when you speak that language, it tends to create this this flexibility while you're thinking things through and working things through. So it's fascinating to see how the language develops and how practical it is in many instances. But I don't think you do it consciously.
Yeah.
That's all happening in the background.
Yeah. I think that's quite interesting, and coming from the laws of languages to the laws of nature, which is the title of your article in the book, "The Laws of Our Nature in Change." What is the core message of your article of this text?
So when we deal with change, a lot of people have misconceptions because they don't understand how human beings function. So when I still had a very strong psychology practice, I found that there are certain things that influence people's thinking and their behavior. And I had the same themes repeating themselves in people's lives. And I tried to put that together in a format of 7 laws, which I found repeated themselves most frequently. And those laws, if you understand them, you can navigate through change far more effectively. Because people don't resist your change just because they are devious or evil or whatever. They resist change very often just because there's an inner way of thinking that makes them feel either insecure or unsure, and then they start resisting. So on the one side, I think the insight into how people function helps you as a leader navigate them through change, but also when you understand how people function, you can take them further from change. And I hope that comes out in the chapter that I wrote.
Yes, and this sounds like these are existing laws of our life that we are following the whole life through. Can you give us an example of one of the laws that you're talking about?
So I think the law that I focused most on in this chapter is the law of supremacy, which says you want to feel supreme. In other words, you want to feel in control. Now, when we tackle change, we think people want to have control. And leaders would often say to me, but Ziggy, I can't give them control. That is not what people desire in essence. In essence, they want to feel in control. And if we understand that basic principle, we can give them the information that would make them feel in control, and then they wouldn't need to resist or undermine our change. Very often we don't understand that if people don't feel in control, they do many things that we wouldn't see as resisting change. For example, gossip. When people make up stories, that is their attempt to grab control and feel more control. So that is one of the laws that impact change specifically very much, and I think that's the one that I focused on the most in the chapter. The other tragedy that since I wrote the chapter, I worked with a client and I realized that this law, and I don't know whether that came out as much as I would have liked to, this law causes leaders, because they feel out of control themselves, to grab control. And as they grab control, they create a snowball effect in the organization. And the more the leaders are aware of that, the more they will let go of control in a healthy way, and thereby create an atmosphere where everyone can feel control.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Amazing insight, and I think that is also the core of many problems that we see in companies and organizations. So because we are living in digital times, in complex times, so people are constantly in a situation where they feel that they lose more and more control of the things because they are becoming so complex. So I think that is a principle that is becoming more and more important also in our world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we were forced now, in Namibia, we had a very strict lockdown. So as we were forced to become more digital, I found that a lot of my clients would then become nervous because they feel they don't have the control they used to have over their staff if they could see them physically at their desks and that kind of thing. Ironically, these people, when you get them to stand back and actually look at the output, a lot of them realized in this time where they felt out of control, they actually got more out of their team than they normally would. And I think that just proves that whole thing about the law of supremacy, is that if you give people the ability to feel control, they will not abuse it. They will use that to be more productive. And I think very often we don't trust our people to that extent where we believe they actually want to do the best that they can with what they are given.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's also a good example when we talk about the actual Corona crisis, where governments all over the world deal differently with this problem. And so some countries do a lockdown, some countries are still quite open. And it's also, so from what you say, it's also part of the law of supremacy that people feel out of control right now with the situation, with the virus coming over, and they don't have enough information about it. They don't know how to deal with that. And that's causing also a lot of problems, not only the situation itself, but also how we think about it. What is your opinion about this?
For sure, I think that's why you see in many countries people are starting to grab control, and the grabbing control is that them coming into a place where they become aggressive towards the government, they become aggressive towards laws and rules, and they rebel really to a great extent because of that feeling out of control. Because me rebelling, I feel like I'm doing something to regain control in some way, or to regain the feeling of control. And I've seen here we've had rumors, or not rumors, we had an official notice that the schools, for example, would only open in August and everyone was up in arms, specifically because they felt completely sidelined and they felt out of control. And it's interesting to me, we just heard the messages starting to come out that the schools will be opening earlier than expected. We're talking about next month, and then we would still have a normal school year. And I see how that influences people to calm down. They haven't gained any control, but they feel more control because they aired their concerns and the concerns were listened to. So they feel I am being listened to, so my opinion is important. And immediately there's a feeling of control and a relaxation that you see all around you. And it's absolutely fascinating to see how that plays out in this time. And I think the leaders that understand this principle are the leaders that will come out after this crisis with stronger support. The leaders that don't understand this principle after this crisis are going to lose their influence and their power, because it's going to be taken away by the people.
Absolutely. So it's a lot about communicating. That's what I hear out of these lines, and sharing information also with other people. And you also mentioned the situation in which many people are right now, that they are working in a remote situation. People, the whole teams all over the world are at home right now in the home office. And I can imagine that the law of supremacy grabs here very hard, because many leaders feel that they don't have control anymore. They don't see what their employees are doing. And this was, I know that from Germany, that in many companies that was not established because people don't trust that employees will work at home. And now they need to trust. Do you have an advice for leaders how they can deal with this situation better?
I think there's, in the chapter also, I speak about a concept that I call the wild horse rule. Now, the wild horse rule says that you will always think of the worst thing about yourself first. Now, that is what happens with leaders. Your people are suddenly gone and you think, oh, they all did not do anything. And they're going to waste company money and the company's going to go down. This is a natural response. I find that a lot of leaders feel so guilty about that way of responding. It's a natural response, but it's not a good response. So acknowledging that is the thought that I have, the first step, not suppressing it or pushing it away or whatever, acknowledging it, and then looking at the information at hand. Look at what you're getting back from the people. Really look at what they're doing for you. Look at the output on the individual. Because the reality is, if people are at home working, they will not be working like normal. And your influence will not be like normal, but the output, look at that and allow that to calm you down or to move to action.
Yes. Now you're cut up. So
cut out.
Oh yeah, there we are again. Your voice was gone for a moment. So there's a lot of things to read in your article about how to work with these laws of nature and use them for your own success and for the success of your team and your organization. And the book is also a lot about changes and a changing world, and about how to thrive in a changing world. How do you see the actual changes in the world taking place everywhere? And what is your recommendation? on what should people focus on to deal with these changes and have more success and thrive in this world?
So when we started, I had the idea that the working environment is going to change drastically and permanently in many different ways. And I still think it's going to change because we're going to see results from people working from homes. A lot of people will look at the benefit of having a virtual team to some extent. It's going to move us faster forward in that direction. But the one thing I've realized as I've looked at the developments and as I've contemplated what is happening, I think a lot of the things that, for example, social distancing, a lot of people said, oh, after this, people will not even give hands or hugs or whatever. But I find that because it was not permitted, people crave it. We always crave the not permitted things, isn't it? So the illegal things we crave. I think when we come back, people will actually be more about individuals. They'll be more interested in others. And I think a leader that harnesses that will unite his or her team even more powerfully than before. So on the one side, realizing things will change, but on the other side, being on the outlook for the things people were craving while they were separated and using that to unite your team more effectively.
Perfect. That's a great advice that we really could use in these times here. Siggy, it was a pleasure to talk to you. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So they can send me an email. It's very easy. It's Siggy, S-I-G-I, @capacitytrust.com.
Perfect. I will put that also in the show notes of the video. And if you want to read more about these laws of nature and how you can use it for your own success, we have a good book recommendation for you, which is also available right now in bookstores all over the world. And I will also put the link on the video. Siggy, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you. And I hope to see you soon, somewhere in the world. Last time we met in Namibia. So next time, maybe in another country. I'm very, very much looking forward to that.
So do I. So do I. I can't wait to travel.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. Have a good time.
You too.
Goedendag, mijn naam is Paul Terwal en de groeten vanuit Zwolle in Nederland.
Dumelang ho tswa kwa Afrika Borwa, leina la me ke Okgopoleng Mushi.
Hello, greetings from West Kirby near Liverpool in England. My name is Chris Davidson.
Moin und hallo aus Berlin, Deutschland. Mein Name ist Ilya Kaschkowitz.
Good day everyone, my name is Lindsay Adams. I'm speaking to you today from Brisbane, Australia.
Hello, and greetings from Erlangen, Germany. I'm Laura Baxter.
Hi, ek is Sigfried Lange. Ek is van Windhoek, van Namibia.
Hello and greetings from West Wales. My name's Rebecca Jones.
Hallo aus Düsseldorf, Germany. Mein Name ist Christian Buchholz.